I'm at that age. Coffee and a fan. Thando. Welcome to another video from me. Today I want to talk about something that was sparked by a TikTok video. Isn't that how all the YouTube videos start nowadays? So I saw this YouTube video. I saw this TikTok where this girl was talking about how tired she is of the queer media trope where there's a couple and one member of the couple is out loud and proud and the other one is either closeted or not as out, and they get to the part of their lives where they want to meet each other's families, and the one that's like not really out is like, hey, I feel like you shouldn't meet my parents, they're pretty homophobic, it's unsafe for you, and I don't want to have to deal with, you know, all the repercussions that come out of like exposing your lover to a homophobic situation. And the other lover is like, no, you don't love me, you're not proud enough to tell people about me, the most important people in your life, da 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 da, and then just foolery and trauma ensues. And that video on TikTok made me think about a stance that I have, and I'm kind of processing and trying to ascertain whether that view of mine is actually perpetuating or giving permission to my mom specifically to be a little bit homophobic. Okay, backstory. So if you've been on this channel long enough, you've seen my coming out video, and I've told the story of how I came out and how my mom's reception was. My mom, lovely, beautiful, amazing, sweetest woman you'll ever meet. She is incredibly open, teachable, willing to unlearn, doing so much of the work, and I love her for it, and other reasons, and because she's just my mom. So my mom came to visit me from last year, November, up until like a few weeks back, which was so daunting for me because I haven't lived with my mother since I was 15. The only time I ever see my mom is during visits. I'd move to Durban and then I'd visit home every end of the month or during the end of school term, and then straight from Durban I moved to Joburg, so I'd visit whenever I could, maybe mid-month, maybe twice a year, and nowadays that number has dwindled quite a bit. So she just wanted a break and wanted to come visit, and she came to visit me. So I sat her down and I told her exactly this, the fact that you actually don't know me as an adult. You need to learn me, and you are going to. We haven't lived in the same household in a long time, and the roles are reversed. This is my roof. So we're gonna have to be respectful of each other, but there's also things that I'm not willing to compromise on. One of those things, massive thing, was the fact that my girlfriend and I visit each other quite often for long periods of time. Like, I'll go to her place for a week, she'll come here for a week, and we share a bed and a bedroom. So you are going to be exposed to all of that. If you're okay with it, then absolutely, let's move on. You can stay as long as you want, but if not, unfortunately, you're just gonna have to go back home. I didn't say it like that. Obviously, I was very respectful, and it was a kind, beautiful, amazing conversation. Scary, hard, but the end result, I'm glad we had it. In any case, so then we lived with each other for the past 3 months. Bandile would come over, Bandila's my girlfriend, would come over, spend the night, spend the week. And it was amazing, no awkwardness. Like I said, my mom is great. So she just treated it, I think, as though she's my friend, which is another point I wanna make about that, but we'll get to it later. And it was lovely. I suppose because Bandila's also like feminine presenting, like I am, she just treated it like I'm her daughter and this is probably my friend or something, or whatever the case is, because it's not like we were PDAing in front of her or like calling each other baby and all of those things. It was we just made it comfortable for everyone. Anyway, so the other day she decided to go home, so I had to drive her to Park Station to catch her bus. On our way, she notices something that reminds her of Ubandile. And my mom has an issue of forgetting now. Like, she'll do that thing where parents are like, I've got three sisters. And then she'll do a thing of like, Zanele, Neliswa, I went and Thando, like trying to find our names. She'll do it with all of us. So she did that. She's like, ooh. She's trying to remember. She's talking about Bandile. And then she's like, your friend. And I was like, my friend? And she's like, yeah, your friend in the house. And I was like, oh, Bandile. And she's like, yes. And then she continues to tell me what she's seeing and she's thinking about that's reminding me of her. That's reminding my mom of Bandile. In that moment, I was like, so this is a moment where most people would be like, hey mom, you know Bandile is my girlfriend, don't call her my friend, or whatever the case is. But I was just like, girl, whatever. You, as long as you know that Bandile is my girlfriend, I can tell you're still processing clearly if you're not able to say the words that she's my girlfriend. I'm hoping someday you'll get there, but I don't feel like forcing her or calling her out or in and like making it a thing. And so I left the conversation and went back to Bandile to tell her, hey, this is the thing that happened, and see, this is how I handled it, and I feel like you should handle it the same way. And that's because Bandile holds a different view from me. I asked her permission to tell her side of her views, but Bandile is also out to her parents. However, she has the feeling that her parents are not as maybe welcoming to the conversation as my mom is. And I don't think that has anything to do with homophobia necessarily, but rather just their relationship in general. 1, 2, she's got 2 little brothers, and she feels as though her parents are way more lenient with addressing, with talking about, with accepting their girlfriends and meeting them when they come to the house. But when it comes to her, the conversation is not even had. The conversation ended the day she told them that she was gay, which is like eons ago. And because I think they're not in a rush for her to come to them and tell them she's getting married, so they're not going to be like, hey, so you're 34, what's happening? The grandchildren. That conversation is not had because they're not in a rush to like deal with what it means to have a daughter who's having a gay wedding or gay marriage. I'm assuming. This is not something they've said. I'm just, assuming and thinking about it. Anyway, so I go to Bandile and I'm like, hey, so this is a thing that happened when my mom was trying to remember your name and she called you my friend. Maybe you should adopt the same vibe with your parents. And I mean, upon thinking about it, I'm like, Thando, why? And I'm like kind of in 2 minds now, which is why I'm coming here to ask you where you stand on this issue. Particularly with people my age and or people who are ready to settle down, have kids, get married, that kind of thing. I'm not saying that's me. I'm just saying I'm ready to have a long-term partner and not have that be questioned or ridiculed or belittled or whatever the case is. And so, like, what do you guys think? What is your take? Because I have had the feeling for the longest time to just leave our parents alone, bro. Like, they're trying. Those that are trying, obviously. Especially those that are trying, I feel like I give them, like, props. Like, oh, Ngosiam, at least you accepted that I'm gay. You didn't disown me. You didn't abuse me. You don't talk ugly words to me because of it. And so I almost, like, want to give them a medal for doing the bare minimum, because I've seen how other people's parents are. Because the contrary of that is the things that I mentioned: disowning your kids, taking them to freaking conversion camps, praying for them, talking ill of them in front of people and behind their backs, and all of the ugly things that homophobic parents do. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to feel anymore, because when I think about comparing, I think it's comparing apples to apples. Comparing it to, like, let's say you are in an interracial relationship and the one partner has a white grandmother who's racist AF and always has been. If the partner is like, hey babe, I don't think you should be around my grandmother, she's racist, and I don't want to put you through that kind of trauma of having to experience that. I feel like in that situation, if it was me, I'd be like, yo, fam, because it's not their fault that their grandmother is racist. All they can do is obviously teach, call it out in the house and stuff whenever they see it happen or not be around it. But they can't make the change for the grandmother. So what they can control is not subjecting their lover to the racism. So I imagine it would be the same thing in a homophobic situation where it's like, yo, my parents are homophobic and I don't want you to be around them. But if you want to force matters, then, you know, sure. But my take is just like, don't. Because your parents are still your parents, you know, with all of their flaws. And it's up to you to decide if you are the one who wants to disown them. You are the one who wants to cut ties with that relationship because they are unwilling to change. But in situations where you can see, given the time, there'll be progress and they will grow to understand you better, to understand your life and love you fully for who you are. Then it's tricky because you love your parents, you don't want to disown them, you don't want to cut ties with them, but you do want to work at the relationship and them getting to a point where it's no longer even a conversation. Indaba your homophobia. Yeah. Also, I think I need to apologize to Bands a little because that's not fair, right? She has every right to want the same kind of treatment from her parents that they afford her brothers. And I don't know if it's fair for me to expect her to be the patient one. And because some situations they do need you to like bulldoze through the things to get the outcome that you need. And then some situations need a little bit more patience. And that's the route that I've taken with my mom. I'm like, you're doing so much work, because she's also doing other work in terms of like how she raised us and bringing us up in an abusive household and how it's affected us. We're doing all of that stuff, reparenting ourselves and reparenting her and herself, you know? So it's that, and also my gay stuff. And maybe I'm treating my mom with kitten gloves, and I've had the sense that shame, uyazama, and all I can afford her is a little patience. And that's my feeling about like our parents and them coming to terms with our love lives. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to come back to the point of Bandile coming to my house and staying here while my mom is here as well. Not staying, but visiting for a prolonged time. And the flipped privileged in that if Bandile was a guy, that would not fly. Absolutely not. You know, it's giving pre-fat and set. And also, I don't want to have that conversation. I don't know what that's about. I don't know how it goes with the straights and stuff. But like, yeah, that's not the conversation I'm trying to have. I'm just trying to say, it just definitely wouldn't fly. I know my little sister is like in a process of and stuff, but her boyfriend doesn't even set foot inside the premises, inside the gate of my house, let alone spending a week sleeping in one bed, in one bedroom, closed doors, while my mom is under the same roof. It just wouldn't happen, but it happens with us. And I don't know if it's a case of sapphic relationships not being respected as like this is serious soul or whatever, or it's a case of it's sapphic, it's familiar. I've lived under one roof with women. They're not like fornicating and sucking face in front of me, so it's whatever. Which is contrary to what my grandmother felt when she disowned me when I came out. She just owned me for a little bit of time. When she heard about like my relationship, she was like, basic, because my girlfriend at the time, Camilla, would come into the house, would sleep in the house. She said, basically, that's how she saw it. So yeah, that's the chat for today. That's my quandary. Please let me know in the comment section. I really am genuinely interested to find out where we all stand on this issue of handling our parents with kitten gloves when it comes to accepting us. Because it does feel a lot like I'm treading carefully and walking on eggshells, because I'm worried if I make sudden movements, then she's just gonna be like, okay, this is why, this is why we will pray for you. It does feel a little bit like that. And I was even thinking about how when I do, because I have met like the parents of a former lover before, and I'm very confident when I meet parents. I pride myself in being really good with parents. But the reason that I'm good with parents is because I take up this posture of what a good wife would be if I was going to be marrying their son. So that's the posture I uphold when I meet parents. Only obviously to bamboozle them, because it's for your daughter. All of this is for your daughter. Even just that, Uguti, I'll get to someone's home and try by all means to represent myself as like wifey material, essentially. I'm up early, I'm washing dishes after everyone, collecting plates after everyone. If we're cleaning, if we're mopping, we're doing it. My tone, my posture, how I sit, I'll probably pack all dresses that weekend to try and look as normal and as feminine as I possibly can, so that they can see that I'm just a woman. Let me be a woman. Woman. I'm trying to let that plane pass, but it doesn't matter really. So yeah, I've said quite a mouthful, but those are the thoughts that I'm having for now, because this is not a well thought out thing. This is just my feelings, right? As raw and unanalyzed as they are. Tell me your thoughts so I can come correct if I need to come correct. Or we can figure it out together if that's what we need to do. That's the chat. I look forward to the chats in the comment section, and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye.